Hey, movie lovers! So, after 5 long years of waiting, Netflix finally dropped The Old Guard 2, and let me tell you, I have some thoughts. If you loved the first film like I did, you might want to sit down for this one, because we need to talk about what went wrong with this sequel. Look, I'll be upfront, I absolutely loved the first Old Guard. Charlize Theron was phenomenal, the action was crisp, and most importantly, it felt like a complete story with proper 3-act structure. It had heart, it had substance, and it respected both its characters and its audience. So when they announced a sequel, I was genuinely excited. But here's the thing. The Old Guard 2 doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like an expensive TV episode, or worse, like they took what should have been a full film and chopped it in half to milk another sequel out of us. And the critics seem to agree. This thing landed at just 25% on Rotten Tomatoes compared to the first film's solid 80%. What really frustrates me is that this sequel commits one of the cardinal sins of franchise filmmaking. It's all setup, no payoff. Think about great action sequels like Terminator 2 or The Dark Knight. Those films work as complete stories while advancing the overall narrative. The Old Guard 2 feels like it's just Act 1 bleeding into Act 2 of what should be a longer story. Let's talk about Quinn for a second. This character spent 500 years drowning in an Iron Maiden at the bottom of the ocean. That's horror beyond imagination. But instead of exploring that psychological trauma in any meaningful way, we get what essentially amounts to a supernatural hissy fit. She's mad at Andy for abandoning her. They have their dramatic confrontation. And then suddenly, they're buddies again, marching off to war. It's emotionally hollow. And don't get me started on Uma Thurman's Discord. Here's an actress who gave us the bride in Kill Bill, one of the most iconic revenge characters in cinema. But Discord feels like a generic villain with flimsy motivations. Critics noted that despite Thurman's presence, the character is essentially forgettable. And that's a waste of both the actress and the audience's time. Now, I'm not going to completely trash this film. Booker's redemption arc actually worked for me, and there were some solid action sequences. That opening villa raid was pretty slick, and I appreciated seeing Andy embrace her mortality in combat. The world building was necessary, and I'm glad they expanded the lore. But here's what really gets me. This feels like Netflix's sequel syndrome at its worst. Remember what happened with shows like The OA or Sense8? Netflix has a terrible track record of starting stories and never finishing them. And now they're doing it with movies too. This reminds me of some of the worst sequel mistakes in action cinema. You know what this feels like? It's like if they had taken The Empire Strikes Back and ended it right after the carbon freezing scene. Just nothing resolved. No emotional catharsis, no sense of completion. Even famously incomplete sequels like The Matrix Reloaded at least had some spectacular action sequences to partially justify their existence. The worst part? We waited 5 years for this. 5 years! That's longer than the gap between most Marvel movies. And we get half a story. Compare that to something like Mad Max. Fury Road, which took 30 years to follow up Road Warrior and still delivered a complete, satisfying experience. Final thoughts. Look, I want to love this franchise. The cast is great, the concept is solid, and when it works, it really works. But The Old Guard 2 feels like a cash grab designed to set up a third film that may never come. It's frustrating because all the pieces were there. Charlize Theron is still a badass, the action choreography is solid, and the mythology is interesting. The bottom line, if you're a fan of the first film, you'll probably watch this anyway. I get it. But temper your expectations. This isn't a proper sequel. It's an expensive trailer for a movie that might never get made. They should have taken the time to craft a complete story instead of rushing out half of one. Closing, so what do you think? Are you planning to watch The Old Guard 2, or are you waiting to see if they actually finish the story? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, hit that subscribe button. I've got more movie breakdowns coming your way. Until next time, keep watching.